Today we're going to build this 1950 style crystal rocket radio, and I've done a capacitively tuned one in the past, but this one is inductively tuned and it has a ferrite rod, and by extracting it we can raise the frequency, and by inserting it we lower the frequency, and that's pretty much it. So the next thing we'll do is we'll look at the materials it takes to build this, then we will assemble it, and of course we will test it. The components we're going to need are the rocket body, the nose cone, and the coil form right here. We're going to need our ferrite rod, which is roughly 10 millimeters. The newest ones I've ordered are actually a little bit smaller than the older ones. The inside of the tube should be 10.5 millimeters. We have our resistor, which is either somewhere between 10K and 40K ohms. We have our magic diode, either the 1N34A or the D9K or equivalent. We have our crystal earphone. We have the wire for the antenna and ground, and these are roughly 1 meter long. I have some clips here that are representative because the real ones I want to use have not come yet, and it's been more than a month since I ordered them, but yeah. And then the last thing is some wire for the coil, to wind the coil, and I'm using 24 AWG or 0.55 millimeter. Bigger would actually work better. Normally when I tell you to wind a coil and I say use a certain wire size, all the calculations have been done on that wire size. But when you're using a scatter winding like we are, the wire sizing is not quite as important, and a bigger wire actually might do a little bit better. Okay, so what is next? Next we will be winding the coil, and we'll begin the assembly, and then we'll get the testing done. Our first step in assembly is to glue the ferrite rod into the nose cone, and my original ferrite rods were a little bit fatter than this, and they were a firm fit in here. So you'll want to make sure that they are not cockeyed like that. They have to be square in there. So we glue those up and we set them aside, and when it's dry or hard, whether you're using epoxy or you're using super glue, when it is done, then what you're going to do is you're going to make your mark on the winding core, and what you want to do is you want to make sure that the bottom of the ferrite is at the bottom of the coil. So you'll make a mark right there, and then you'll make a mark up here, as we said earlier. Okay, and so that when it's fully inserted, the rod will be, you see that, goes to the end of the coil, and when it's pulled out, then it's all the way out of the coil. So that's the goal we're going for. Okay, I'm not going to go through winding the coil. I've done that many times. Again, this is a scatter wound, so the quick and dirty of it is that you secure one end, and I usually use thread and white glue, and then you do the wrappings this way, and I space them about 1/2 centimeter apart, and they're at an angle of about 10 to 20 degrees. You can see that there. When I get down to this end, I do the same thing. I secure it with thread and white glue, and then I coat the entire core, the first layer of the core, with white glue and let it dry. And then I go back over with my ensuing windings until I reach 100. And each one, so they're going backwards like this. So the original angle is this direction, and when I go back, it's this direction, and they will fall right in between each of the other windings. And again, you just go back and forth, but if the first layer is stable, the other layers are much, much easier to do. What else? Okay, and then when you're done, secure the ends with thread and white glue and set that aside to dry. And then we will take on the next step of wiring, and we'll do a quick review of the wiring before we go on. We have our windings here. So this is our inductor, and at each end there's going to be 3 connections. On this end it is one side of the earphone and the resistor, And on this side is the ground, and then of course the inductor. And then this side, the inductor, the antenna, and one side of the diode. And the other side of the diode will come down here to the opposite side of the earphones. And the resistor goes across these. So, yeah, that's about it. The next step will be to start pulling the wires into here. So the antenna wire and the ground will go in one side and then flip it over, and the earphone will go on the other side, and we'll pull them all the way up to the top up here so that we can solder them outside, yeah, and then we'll stuff the whole thing back in. So yeah, it's going to get a little bit tight in there, but it'll be okay. Okay, so the next step is then to start soldering on components. We have fed the wires into the body of the rocket. So here's the earphone and antenna and ground. And then here is most of our internal circuitry except for the coil. And let's go over our circuit diagram, make sure we have this correct. So if we look at the antenna, we start here at the antenna, come in here, it will attach to our coil, which is out of the picture for right now. It comes in here, it attaches to the diode. That's the diode. Diode comes around here, and then the diode attaches to one side of the earphone and the resistor. So that's this point right there. Okay, across there to the other side. And the other side is ground, which is the white wire back here, the other white wire. So it's that one. Ground on the other side of the earphone. So the coil leads, one of them will go here and one of them will go here. And I will probably put some shrink wrap on here. But also my plan is to use some thread, probably without glue, to tie these to the coil for strain relief and just strength, because these wires are going to get pulled on and twisted and what have you, and that won't be good for them. Some notes that when you are soldering these, make sure you have good mechanical connections first, because as you start to add, an extra second wire, third wire, whatever it is, and you heat that connection up, it's very frustrating when they come popping off of there. So wrap them together really well. Leave yourself some space with the diode, and don't go twisting on the diode, because both heat and mechanical stress on this glass envelope can cause them to break or just crack, and then they leak, and after a while they quit working. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Now the trick is I need to attach the leads from the coil here and here, and then we need to stuff it all back in the rocket body, and it should be ready to test. Well, as promised, I have connected one side of the coil to right there. Can you see that? And yes, I need to put shrink wrap over this, because when the wires move around, when they get pulled on as people use it, these two sides will come together and short. So this is one side of the coil. It's at that end where the diode meets the antenna wire, as it should be. And this one is harder to show because of all the wires. But here's the other side of the coil. It comes up here and attaches to the other side of the earphone and the ground. So that's that. Can you see that? Yes, you can. And again, I need to put shrink wrap over here. And I'm also going to wrap these to the coil with some thread. Don't use wire because that'll short the coil. But yeah, I need to wrap these to the coil with some thread for strength so that they're not jerked around like that. And yeah, then we have to demo it with the coil not inside the rocket, because I need connection points here and here on the scope, and I can't do that inside of the rocket body. So we will demo it, then we will assemble it and see how beautiful it is when it's all together. Here we have our usual setup. I have the oscilloscope connected to the outputs of the earphone, or to the earphone, and the reason that is because YouTube won't let me play other people's content, or they take my video down. So I've got the ground to the ground, and I've got this safety pin stuck in underneath the shrink wrap. So, and then the scope is connected to that. Here the rod is all the way out, so this is the highest frequency that it'll tune to. And it's getting a lot of crosstalk and multiple channels, so let me see if I can keep my hands out of the way and tune this. There is a guy speaking. You can see that pretty clearly. This does not have great selectivity. There's a lot of, it never really tunes out flat like some of the other radios. Yeah, so here's two stations I'm hearing at the same time. And there, that's a very clear station. I think that's the loud one that's near our house. So that's music. And usually I get at least 3.5 stations. I must have gone too fast. Okay, so that's the lowest frequency tuned to. I'm getting 2 stations mixed. There's the music. Woman speaking, right there. And there's a guy speaking. So yeah, 3 stations. So that's pretty typical. 3.5 stations that I can pick up clearly. So yeah, as you can see, it works okay. It is not a contesting rig. It has different properties than, say, the wiper radio or the capacitively tuned radio. But you know, if you're doing a collection of like 1950s or just crystal radios in general, this is one to add to your collection. Okay, let's assemble it and see how it looks when it's all together and beautiful. So here she is in all of her post-assembly glory, with her ground and antenna wires coiled up out here. And of course we have our earphone there and our tuner. So anyway, just a little blast from the past. I hope you found that useful and interesting in your crystal radio experimentation. And if you have any questions, let me know, but I hope you'll be building one too.